Hey guys, it doesn't matter, and
I love the dream.
this is a special edition episode of our podcast, Confessions of a Stan Mixer Edition. Today we are going to be talking about a little mix going on hiatus and just kind of chatting. We gotta be honest, there's not really a plan for this episode. We're not well prepped.
Not at all. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll get through it.
Do we go like, how did we find out? Or
yeah, I guess just how we found out. Just
right, how we found out. I to be honest, I don't really remember. I know it just happened, but I'm drawing a blank. I think I just saw it on Instagram. Or you know what? No, that's wrong. I saw it on Twitter. Which is odd for me. Normally I get all my I don't have notifications on for them for Twitter. So normally I see it through Instagram, but I saw it on Twitter first this time. And I got like the notification for Instagram like way later. I don't know. My Instagram is broken. And
yeah, I just turned all my notifications off for Instagram because it stopped working on me.
Yeah, they're like broken. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna go check it on my own.
Yeah, so I saw it and I remember I just saw like it was a very blunt first tweet of the little thread that they did. And I was like, okay. Yeah, and then I read down and saw their kind of their explanation and all of that. And if you guys watched our Between Us episode, then you know that I was kind of expecting it. We were kind of expecting it to leave you in.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised they did it now, to be honest. I thought they were going to wait until next year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a story on how I found out. I found out through you.
Oh, that's right.
That's how I found out. That you DM'd me. It was like, did you see? I was like, see what? But yeah, and then sure enough, I opened like Instagram. That was the first thing I saw. But
yeah, guys, I gotta be honest. I saw the announcement and immediately it was like, probably have to do a podcast episode. Should message on the dream.
I don't even know what I was doing either. I was just like walking around my room, like cleaning up or whatever, and I see the notification. I was like, oh, what happened? Yeah, but like I don't really know. Like, kind of just what you said. Like, I wasn't really surprised. I was more surprised at the timing, but not so much the message itself.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I was expecting it to be maybe right before tour, right after tour, on tour. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really not expecting it now.
It's just like a really random time right now. Or like even if it had been like before Between Us came out, or like right as it was coming out, like I feel like that would have been like very suitable. I feel like I want to know why like right now.
Yeah, I don't. It feels a little weird.
Maybe the documentary. That might be the at-home documentary.
But I feel like that could have gone out at any point.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was odd. I just would have expected it to like be tied to something, but it's just kind of like in this in-between area. So I'm not.
Which might have been why they did it now.
I guess it kind of feels like like they were just waiting for the end of the year, kind of like what they did with the Jessie announcement last year. Like they just decision made obviously way in advance. Well, a month in advance last time, and earlier this year this time, and they like wait until the industry shuts down to make the announcement.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like that's what I noticed. Like I'm like they wait until all of the promo is done.
Yeah, until the promo's done, everybody's kind of gone on their breaks for the holidays.
Yeah, like until everything shuts down, and then they're like, "Hey,
you guys go."
That seems to kind of like
true.
Be the thing. So I guess that's what they were doing, but I feel like they probably would have benefited from making the announcement sooner, I think. like with the album, or are waiting for the tour or something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that we were expecting it at some point.
Yeah.
And the kind of messaging they went with is what I expected them to go with based on like the way they've been talking about it. So that like it's a break, not a split, you know, Little Mix is forever. Like,
Yeah. Keep the door open.
yeah, like, because, you know, we said before that we thought it wouldn't be like a we're breaking up forever type of like messaging, that it would be like a
No.
hiatus.
Yeah. Or just like a slow drawn out.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I even thought maybe they wouldn't announce it.
Yeah, I think that might have been more of the shock, was just like that they did say something.
Like, I kind of thought that maybe, like, I thought they would say something, but I also remember thinking, well, maybe they'll just quietly stop doing band things, you know?
Yeah, so it's not like as hard of like a hit kind of. So you ease out of it.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, if it really is like a break, you know, then like you're intending to like fully come back, like pick Little Mix back up as a career, then like a full-time career, then you would, right, just kind of like take a few years off, go quiet, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like what solo artists do when they take time off.
Yeah.
They just kind of go quiet for a while. They don't like
Yeah.
announce that they're on break. And so I kind of thought that like maybe that's the route that they would take. The fact that they made the announcement, and the fact that they like have all of these like things coming out around them like ending, um to me says that they're not intending to pick Little Mix back up as a full-time career, and I'm gonna get attacked. um, it was occurring to me as it was coming out of my mouth that that would be unpopular. But I just think that like there's more to it than that, and I guess we could talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, but like the other reasons why I think that that is also the case. But I think that, you know, I think that they intend, when they say like Little Mix is forever, I think they mean like the legacy will live on forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it will live on in the people that Little Mix touched, including themselves. And I think that they're all intending right now to like do a 10, 15, 20 year, whatever it is, reunion. You know, that's kind of the vibe I get. I don't get the impression, based on the things they've said or done or the way they've handled the rollout, that they intend to like ever go back to Little Mix as a full-time career.
Yeah.
And like when I say full-time career, I mean like
how it has been the past 10 years.
Yeah, like I mean like come back, do like album after album, like fully commit, do nothing else but Little Mix, go on tour, like, you know what I mean? Like I mean like Little Mix is your everything, Little Mix is your career.
Yeah.
I don't think that nothing they have done, in fact, things they've done have like shown me the opposite of this, given me the opposite impression of this, that they ever intend to do that, to have it be a full-time career again.
No, I agree though, because like I've seen, especially on, I want to say it's Twitter probably, people like kind of predicting when they think the hiatus will end. Like I've seen a year, I've seen 2 years. That's kind of generally what I've seen, is just like 1 to 2 years, like a very short one. But I don't think, even if they were to come back, it would be that soon. Because that would kind of,
sorry, not to pop the bubble for anyone, but in that home documentary part 1 thing, Jade makes a comment that's kind of like, oh, it's so weird that to think that like for the next 10 years they like won't be there.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just, if they were gonna go quiet, they would just go quiet. If they were just gonna take a year off, a year or two, like you said, they would just go quiet and then come back. They wouldn't have announced a hiatus. And then it would also just kind of defeat the whole purpose of going on a hiatus, because you can't do more than maybe one solo project in under a year. Like,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have time to do that. They wouldn't have time to do all the things that they are probably planning right now. It's not realistic in that sense. Had it been under different circumstances, maybe, but not necessarily here. But that's not to say that they won't meet up and do a reunion type of thing. They won't attend some party together. Like, that's different.
Yeah, I think Little Mix as a full-time career is done.
Yeah.
But I think there's potential for it to come back in other ways.
Yeah, even if it's just like a 3-way collab or something, I don't know.
Yeah, so let's kind of, I guess, backtrack to why we said in the Between Us review and why, now we say like, well, we were expecting it, or we thought it was going to happen is what we said last time. I think that just ever since they got back, it just like the way they handled themselves and answered questions was different. Like got back like at the start of the year after Jesse left, it was just like, it was even, leigh-anne at one point like responded to a friend and was like, we're solid, don't worry, like we're not going anywhere. But like I made that up, that was not the direct quote, but like she was just like reassuring a fan that everything was going to be okay. And she said something like, we have a lot of exciting things coming up this year. And I was like, this year, interesting. And then that phrase was thrown around in like every interview, was, we have a lot going on this year, we're so excited about things happening this year, like lots of blah 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 this year. And I just kept thinking like, okay, so what's happening after this year?
Yeah.
Is like what kept like flashing in my brain. And then anytime they were asked like, oh, are you guys, breaking up or something, the answer was like, well, Little Mix is forever. That's not no.
And that it's a different answer than what it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, like 4 years ago it would have been like, fuck no. Like,
yeah,
like
there's still a lot we want to do before.
We have so much we want to accomplish together. Like, we love being in Little Mix. We can't imagine doing it on our own. Like that was the answer 4 years ago. And that's a huge pivot to then say, well, Little Mix is forever. It can't really die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing, guys, but it's just like, it's not like gleeful or like mocking. It's just like
the uncomfortable laugh.
Yeah, like it's a little nervous to talk about this, guys. It's a little intimidating.
Nervous laugh. That's what it's called, not uncomfortable laugh.
Yeah, nervous laughter.
I have that so bad.
Yeah, so that's what's happening right now. But yeah, so it's just like that's a very big pivot. And I don't think that it just started after Jesse left. I think that they've been slowly considering like more solo ventures, and I don't necessarily mean music, but just like, and I mean, we've all seen it, right? Like in all the different things that they're doing and the different brand deals and projects and stuff, and companies and whatever, that they're feeling more comfortable branching out on their own. And that was something that they would have never done 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that made me think that they were going on hiatus. Anything else pop into your head?
Well, I have one that kind of made me think a little bit. But as you all know, I really like TV shows and those series, stuff like that. And so, like when you watch a TV show and the season starts to get up in years, like, oh, we're nearing season 5. How many more seasons does the show have? Like that thought process. That's what my thought process has been for Little Mix the past couple of years, pretty much ever since I became a fan, because they had been around for so long before I became a fan. And so I have always thought, like, I've always had that mentality, like, the closer we got to 10 years, I was like, oh no. Like, that could be the end just because it's like a big number. I don't know. But that's always been my thought process. I don't know. That's kind of weird, but I didn't know how music groups worked. I had no idea. This is the only like group I actually like. I hate the word stan, so I don't want to say that, but I do. I hate that word, but like
I've embraced it. I hate it.
But like, it is like it's the only group I've ever like watched all their interviews, watched all the music, like followed them. And so like I didn't know what the average amount of time was for groups, and so I've always been on edge for this. Just because I'm so used to TV shows and like knowing, oh, they don't go past certain years. And so I've always just kind of been like, unsure. But then once it got, especially to the past like year and a half, that it could be coming to an end just because of how long they had already been around. And just because I have that mentality of the higher up in years, the closer to the end it is. And so it's kind of a weird train of thought, but that's just where my mind has been. And just because of like their ages, they're getting into the age where like they've spent their entire pretty much adult life in this group, and so they definitely want to do other stuff and just, I don't know, change it up.
I think so. Okay, so I want to distinguish for me. I think that there was a time period where I kind of like feared that the end was near, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a time period in which I kind of knew. You know, like
mm-hmm.
Split it up.
It was during COVID for me.
I think
like right at the beginning for me.
That you feared or that you knew?
That I knew. Like around when Breakup Song came out.
I feared it around the time, like starting around Think About Us becoming a single to the end of the LM5 tour. Specifically, I just remember listening to them say like, oh, you know, we'd always want to end on a high. And, you know, like I don't know. I just remember them like saying, you know, I mean, to be frank, like, you know, it's all of us or nothing. We always want to end on a high. We don't want to like draw it out. I was watching the LM5 era kind of go down the drain. And I remember being afraid that like that would spell the end.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just because like that was like repeatedly what they kept saying. And I was like,
yeah.
Well, nah.
Yeah, just, oh, yeah.
I was like, well, it's not going so great. So, like, so I remember just being worried about it then, like just being afraid it was coming, but not knowing it was coming. And then going into COVID, I kind of thought like in the first few, like the first month or so, I just thought that they had like a comeback planned and it got ruined because it felt like the plan for Confetti was to like go all out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, COVID's ruining like their comeback from LM5. But as COVID progressed, I started to transition out of fear to like acceptance that it was probably going to come soon, but I didn't know. I didn't know yet.
Yeah.
I just could kind of feel that like it wasn't the same anymore. And if I'm being completely and totally honest with you guys, everyone's going to hate me. It felt like in COVID that the girls just weren't as invested and didn't love it as much.
No, I agree though.
Yeah, I don't mean that in like a bad way. Like I don't mean that in like a hating way. But I just felt like other things mattered more, and it felt like Little Mix, every time they talked about having to do something for the group, it was like, thank God we had a break, or like we really needed this, or you know what I mean? Like it was always that like Little Mix, doing things for Little Mix was kind of like a burden, like, oh, we're away from our family and like now we get to be at home because of COVID, you know, or like we haven't had a break and now we finally have one. And like that was their answer every time they went into lockdown, and they were in and out of lockdown. So it's like you just had a break, but you're talking again about how you need a break from Little Mix, but you literally just had one. Not that I think they ever like got like a completely Little Mix free break in lockdown, but because it obviously was still like their job. But I just felt like they were kind of disconnected from it. I felt like they weren't as interactive or engaged. I didn't feel like a passion or a love for it that I used to feel from them in like interviews and stuff. And I noticed that a lot of like the answers to the Confetti album questions of like, why this album? Why this? And it was just like, well, we just felt like it. I don't know. They usually in the past have put so much thought and work into their albums and making them cohesive and wanting to make a statement or try something new, or like they've always had like an intention when they go into their albums. And in the Confetti era, the answer was like, oh, we just didn't put any pressure on ourselves. We didn't want anything. We just like made songs and then put them on the album. And they kept phrasing it like that was like a good thing. But I was just kind of like hearing what I was hearing them say, not what they were actually saying, but what I was hearing them say after they kept saying it was like, we just didn't really have like a lot of inspiration for the album. We didn't really have something to say. We just like wrote a bunch of songs, realized there was enough to make an album, and stuck them on. And that's just kind of what I kept hearing. And there's nothing like inherently wrong with that. Again, I'm not hating, but like that's very different than all their other albums and all their other pieces of work. There was just signs for me there that maybe they just weren't enjoying it like they used to. I kind of thought maybe I was like imagining it when The Search came because The Search was so well produced. Shout out to whoever produced it, those producers. The Search was so well produced for the JP that it made me question, like, are you wrong? Like, because it was just so well produced. So I kind of like thought maybe I'm wrong, but then obviously everything happened. Then when they came back as a trio, I still just didn't feel like they had a renewed passion for it. I still felt that same disconnect that I saw during lockdown. But then this time, there were all the context clues of, well, we have a bunch of stuff for this year. And, you know, we're so excited for the fans to see what's happening this year. And Little Mix is forever instead of, no, we have plans for our next album. Or like, because they didn't even say that necessarily, like the fact that they were like working on new music, like an album. Like they were like, oh, we have collabs coming out. Like, and I mean, to be completely honest, like they just stopped kind of engaging with the stuff that was coming out as a group. Like they were posting more about their individual projects and they were posting about the new singles, like on their individual Instagram accounts. It just very much felt like their priorities were shifting and like their interests were laying elsewhere. I knew as soon as they came back, like the start of this year, I was just like, it's coming.
Yeah. And like, I agree with what you said about like COVID kind of is when priorities got shifted a little bit.
If you guys hear something in the back, it's Ellen the Dream's cat.
She won't stop. Yeah, but like, because I feel it was really popular and common for people to kind of pick up different skills and find different passions during COVID. And so I don't think really any of us should be surprised that that happened with them too. Because that's when they had a break from promo and touring and performing and all that. And so like they had other opportunities come up and then found, oh, I like doing this. And that's also just when a lot of their more solo projects started, whether it was like a sponsorship deal thing, or I don't know, like a guest appearance. That's what it is. Somewhere like it gave kind of a little boost into other like sections in the entertainment world, and probably that like little push they needed to test the waters by themselves to build up their confidence to be like, oh, I can do this by myself. And so I think that just kind of gradually happened. And then by the time they got back, like by the time like appearances started happening again, I feel like it wasn't the same because now they had all these other interests that they had now and wanted to do. I don't know. No idea if that made sense, but
yeah, no, I think like some of you might be really young, and I wonder sometimes maybe if that like plays into not in the sense of like if you're young, like you like can't understand, but like you just have a different perspective of what lockdown was like for I think like just on a scale, like, and I think this applies more and more depending on how much older you are. But I think that the older you are during lockdown and during COVID, the more kind of like life crisis you had.
Oh my God, I had a huge one.
Yeah, I think that like, it was, and not necessarily life crisis in like a horrible way. I think there's a number of people who were able to kind of make something positive out of it. But like, were you just, the longer you were in lockdown and the older you were and the more the world was on pause, you were just kind of like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, you have time to reevaluate your priorities.
Yeah, you're just thinking like, is this where I want to go with my life? Am I happy? Are these the people that I want around me? Am I sure that this is my path? And then like, if you've been putting off like planning your future in some form or way, and then you're stuck at home all day and you're like, well, it feels like it's approaching very quickly.
Yeah.
Like I can't just like do my daily grind because I can't go anywhere. So I'm just sitting here and it's like a train coming right at me. And like, I just think that there was kind of a lot of that. And the older you were, I think like the more it happened. And I know I had it like personally, like I'm in the midst of like trying to change my entire life because of the fact that like, because of things I like went through during lockdown. It's not like, again, we're not hating, we're not blaming, we're not like whatever. And I think if you are younger, maybe your life didn't get paused the way older people's did, because like school probably continued for you eventually. Activities probably started back up again eventually, and a lot of your life already kind of revolved around online stuff with friends or with fandoms or with interests, and all of that continued in COVID. So and maybe I'm wrong, right? Because I'm coming at it from, I don't have the perspective of like what a teenager went through during lockdown. So maybe I'm wrong. But I think maybe like your life was just put on hold a little bit less, in the sense of like everything kept moving, and you didn't have to like reevaluate everything. Whereas like as an adult, the world pausing for a long fucking time very much was like, well, what the fuck? So I think that, I don't know what I'm getting at, but I just think that like COVID really changed things, like lockdown really changed things. And I would fully understand. And I think they've even kind of said, right, like COVID lockdown like really did change things for that minute, and it gave them new perspectives, and like it was a weird experience and they struggled and then they did well. And and I think that just really kind of like threw a wrench in everything for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what you said definitely made sense. For me personally, this isn't when I like knew that they were going to go on hiatus. This is just when I was kind of like, I think things are changing.
Yeah.
So like I feared it, and then I was kind of like, I think it's happening. I think it's coming. And then at the start of this year, I was like, time has come.
Yeah, I think it was really when like, when was it? I'm trying to think, like right, I don't want to say right before Between Us, but it was when like they announced the Greatest Hits album is when I was like, uh-oh. Like, uh-oh.
I think literally since like January, I've been saying it to you, like, I was like, I don't know, I just have a feeling that, like, they're gonna fulfill their contracts and then like announce a break, and like go on hiatus. The more time that passed, the more sure I was.
Yeah.
And then I would say the moment like I was like 1,000% certain was when all of the 10-year anniversary stuff started coming out.
So like my little timeline is that I mean, like I already said, I already like was worried just because I'm paranoid like that. Because I'm used to shows I like being canceled out of nowhere, and so it's always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And so, but I was never like worried. It was just always like if I saw a headline, I'd be like, oh, but like it was that type of thing. So it was kind of like that, and then COVID was like what I said around breakup song is where I was like, things are slowing down, but it was still so unknown that I was like, oh, we could be right back in a couple months. Like, you don't know. But around that time, I was just kind of like, things aren't going well just because things kept being canceled.
This sounds so dumb, but like my thing was like, even something as small as this was like giving me like little like warning bells, was that like there was no acoustic or acapellas of breakup song. Even though Jade said that there was talks about it, and even though they showed they were perfectly capable of doing it for touch acoustic.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of thinking like, if they really wanted to, they would.
Yeah.
And I also remember thinking like, if this was 5 years ago, right? Like if this was 2015, 2016, 2017, they would have quarantined together in lockdown.
Yeah, they definitely would have.
In order to promote the album. Like, in like, not like because they love each other, but like for the business aspect of like, oh shit, we're going into lockdown while we're recording an album. Like, not even necessarily the first lockdown, but like the second, third lockdown. Like, they would have quarantined together so that they could do interviews, do acapellas, do acoustics, do promo, record the album. Like, if this was 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's what would have happened, because they would have done what they needed to do for the band to make the album successful and to make the single successful and to shoot music videos and like and so the fact that all that stuff wasn't happening and they were wanting to spend time with their boyfriends or their families or like being locked down with them instead, or like the fact that like, well, we can't really figure out this like app, so we're just like gonna give up on it, and like, we may touch acoustic work, but we're not gonna like put in the effort to make breakup song work. I say put in the effort, but I just mean, you know what I mean, like like even those small things just had me thinking like, it's not right.
Yeah, and it was like, goes back to what you said earlier, how this was more about like LM5, but how things started to slow down, as in like, not their career, but as in like the breakup song music video didn't get as many views as we were all hoping for. And it was small stuff like that towards the beginning of COVID that made me be like, oh, uh-oh. Because those words of, oh, we want to end on a high kept coming back. And I was like, COVID's not a high. COVID's going real bad so far. And so that just had me like worried a little bit. And then I'm about to say something real controversial. And guys, I can't stop her. She won't stop meowing. Okay, I don't know if it's real controversial, but there's gonna be comments about it probably. But when Jesse left, that's when I was like, I'm sorry. It's just like perfect timing for all
that
of
was
us.
Perfect timing.
When Jesse left, I was just like, it's ending soon. Not because of what people are gonna comment about and start fight, whatever, no. But because of the fact that they've always said, we can't do this without somebody. We can't do this without all of us. And so even though they said like we'll continue on, I'm like, but for how long? And like I know that's not just me because I saw the entire fandom talking about it in those early days. So
I remember thinking like, I think they're continuing on because they have contracts to fulfill.
Yeah, like that was my first thought. I was like they would have ended it right there had it been probably like a different time of the year, probably.
Yeah, like if it had just been less sudden.
That was when I was like, things are probably going to start slowing down after Confetti because what they just always said kept coming back. Even if they hadn't said that, I probably wouldn't have thought that, but just the fact that they were always saying they can't go on without everybody. And then when the Greatest Hits album, that's when I was like, oh.
Like they said that as recently. I think Jade said it in like March of 2020. So
yeah,
like
it was fresh in my head.
Yeah.
So don't hate me for saying it, guys, but we were all thinking it. It's true. Everybody, I've seen conversations about it all over Twitter.
So I guess that's kind of like our timeline and our thoughts on it. And I know some of you are probably going to be mad about it, and some of you might agree, and some of you might half and half it, and all of that is fine. But we're just giving our thoughts and our perspective, and I guess you don't have to like it, but you are choosing to listen to it. I think too, I noticed that there's a number of you, like quite a lot of you actually, that I talk to who listen to the podcast, who like reach out privately, who are new. Like as of LM5, as of Confetti, as of like Between Us, as of Jesse leaving. There are a lot of you that are pretty new, and I think sometimes not again, so now taking out of the people that I talk to, because everyone I've talked to has been really nice, but just like what I see in the fandom in general, and I think maybe this might be why, because I realized they're talking to some of you guys that you are kind of new, that maybe you don't see it the way we do because you weren't around for when it was different.
Mm-hmm.
So like if this is all you know, if this is the only Little Mix you know, then maybe you didn't see it coming, or you don't agree with us about how it happened, or when things changed, or whatever it is. I think that there's something about like the longer you were there, or even not the longer you were there, but the more you know about the beginning years, and by that I mean like literally X Factor to Glory Days, like the more you know about how that all went down, because I've noticed this, like there's a lot of you guys, and I am judging the tiniest bit, that like don't do your research, and like you don't know the shit I kind of think you should if you say that you stand someone like a lot. Or no, let me rephrase. Not that I think you should know if you stan someone a lot, but that I think you should know for how much of a know-it-all you act.
Yeah.
There are some people that I see on social media who act like they have been here since 2011 and know everything. And then I will catch them asking about this basic ass shit they should know. From like the glory days era, or like get weird during like their most popular era, and they're like, what, where's this from? And I'm like, excuse you. So I think that like there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I also just think that like it also is just like a hard thing to get all caught up on. Like I think that there's probably not a lot of people who want to go back and like dig around YouTube and social media and like go back and, you know, look at all their shit from over the last 10 years, you know, because you want to stand what they're doing right now. But like that's who I am, and obviously making the channel, of course, like I did all of that stuff as part of the channel. In order to like find moments, in order to like get a grip of who they are, to learn about them. And also I'm just like a detail oriented obsessive person. And so of course I like head first in. And and so I did do all of that. And so even though I wasn't standing, like even though I was a casual fan for the majority of their career, when I became a stan, I did hardcore research. Like I know like the promo singles, I know the dates that things came out. I don't know everything. I'm not God, if you believe in God. But like I did a fucking ton of research, and I continue to do research as I learn new things, as I like discover new areas I haven't seen yet, and I like go on these deep dives, and you should see my watch later folder. And like I've done that thing where like I literally like search through on Twitter. I wish you could do it on Instagram, but you can't. I've scrolled through down on like all of their Instagrams to the very bottom just to like see what was there, like see what I missed, you know? Like
yeah,
it takes a long time and your computer might get upset with you. But I don't know, like I just wanted to like see it, you know? And so I've done it for all of them multiple times, and I've done it for the Little Mix account, and like I've, you know, done it on the Twitter. You can't scroll all the way down. I've tried, but you can like search a couple months at a time from a specific account to see all the tweets. And it's not all of the tweets because Twitter lies to you, and I know that that's not all of them, but it gets most of them. And when I say like detail obsessive, I mean that. And so and I just did that because that's, you know, that's what interests me. That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to experience all the things that I missed. And so I did all of that. But because I did all of that, because I could kind of see in retrospect after all that research what it was like in their prime, what it was like in their peak, I knew LM5 and Confetti weren't right. And I just like, and I knew it for Between Us. And I don't know, there's just, you know, when you have the perspective of having seen all of it, whether it's, you know, retroactively or while it was happening, you can just feel it that something's not right.
Yeah.
If that, you know, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like too, just because, like what you said, like we have our channels, and so we've gone through a lot of footage, and so we've seen a lot of videos, and we know what I guess it's supposed to feel like. Because like I'm one of those people that you talked about earlier. I enjoyed until I'm 5. But
I mean, technically, neither did I. Like, I didn't stand until then, you know?
Yeah. No, I didn't know who they were until then. It was I only know a few songs. I mean, it was like early LM5, but I digress. But yeah, like had I not had my channel, I probably wouldn't have thought anything different. But because I had my channel, I did watch a lot of stuff before that, but I watched more with my channel.
Yeah.
So
the amount of research that goes into like having a channel is it's a lot. It's a lot.
I've not uploaded for a couple months. Sorry about that, guys. I'm working on it. Got a lot going on.
Like the stuff that you guys see in our compilations is like 10% of what we've watched.
Yeah.
It's just like the certain amount of shit we've watched that we could find a reason to put in a video.
Yeah, exactly.
But like the shit we've actually watched is so much more than what you've seen.
We know how to find those like hidden deep videos.
Yeah. So it's just like one of those things. And I think that I'm personally, like, this is a little bit off topic, personally really grateful for that. The channel's made me do that because I enjoyed getting to like relive their best years while following their current time.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, like it just was really nice, you know?
Yeah.
But that's why I always get reminiscent for an era that I was only a casual fan for, because I mean, I've known about them for like a very long time. And I've kind of like on and off been like, I've been part of the GP. Like whenever they enter my like bubble of whatever's happening, I'm like, oh, I listened to some of this and I listened to some of that. But if you would like asked me who they were, I would have been like, who knows? Like,
yeah.
But like I listened to like songs from every single album before I even realized like it was them.
I knew Wings.
Sometimes like part of the research going back was me being like, oh, I kind of remember this. I just, something about this feels familiar, you know what I mean? Like whatever it was. And it was just kind of a cool feeling. And, but it also makes me reminiscent for like a time period I wasn't fully there, because like when I do a deep dive into Glory Days, specifically like 2016-ish, like early 2017, I'm always like, oh, like it just looks so magical. Like,
yeah.
Because like you just like watch all the Snapchat videos, you like look at all the tweets, all the things that were coming out, and all like the lives that were happening, and like you see all the tours that they did, and I don't know, like you see all the awards they were winning, and like you just like watch, like there's just like an abundance of performances. There's just like material from Glory Days. You'll just never run out of watching it. And I don't know, it's just something about it just like feels special when you do a deep dive into it.
Yeah.
And I mean that's true of Get Weird too, but there's something about Glory Days that feels like even more so, in my opinion. Because it kind of feels like to me that Glory Days Get Weird was like a career peak. And so all of that, like all that stuff I'm talking about, like still like happened and Get Weird. But like Glory Days also contains an element that I feel has like, when you watch them in Glory Days and interviews or behind the scenes, or even in music videos, or like in performances or whatever it is, you just kind of like feel that you can feel that they know that it's special. You don't really get that as much in the Get Weird era, because they were just like, whoop, like it's happening.
Yeah.
But like in the Glory Days era, you can just feel that they know. And then you're watching it back and you know, and I don't know, there's something special about it. I can't imagine what it would have felt like to stand them in that period. But even just to like go back and like do a deep dive on it, like has so much magic. We're kind of off topic now. We're just reminiscing. Like, I'm reminiscing. I've got us way off topic. What was I trying to say? I think that just having a different perspective of having like the knowledge of the years that came before, that just helped us see that like this was coming, and like prepared us. And I kind of already said this, but to double down on it, because why not? I already said it. Yeah, I don't think that this is quite the break they're making it out to be. I don't necessarily think that they're being super deceptive about it. but I think maybe it's not the break that a lot of fans think that it is, like you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of fans that kind of think it's going to be a K-pop situation.
Yeah.
But I really think it's not. I think the next time you see them, it's going to be an anniversary milestone, and it'll be a reunion.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we're ever going to see them working as a full-time career anymore, like together.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think it's realistic for it to be the break that the fans are thinking it's going to be.
Even 5 years, like, I just think like it's not. I think they're done.
Yeah.
The little mix we'll get in the future is going to be the the future of Little Mix are going to be reunions and like one-offs.
Yeah. And if we get a single in 2 years, great. But I just don't think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so what we think they're doing now that Little Mix is ending. Well, Larry are obviously going to be moms.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I think that their lifestyles are going to change and they're going to settle down a bit more.
Yeah.
And probably want to like travel less and stuff. At least we'll in the first, like 5 years while the kids are young and stuff.
Yeah, like embrace the time that they probably haven't had because of the group.
I think that they'll all still make music.
Yeah, definitely something music
Mm-hmm.
related for them.
Perry obviously has Desora, so I think she'll focus on that. Jade's got her bar, and I think she'll probably want to do some like TV presenting and guest appearances and stuff like that. Lee seems into the acting thing now.
Yeah, I think Perry will. I don't know. I can't tell if Perry's business will be more of a focus now, or if she'll kind of keep it to where it is now, where it's a priority, but it's not like her number one.
Mm.
But I also don't see her rushing to make music right away because she's a mom now.
Yeah,
And
I don't
like,
really see her rushing to make music right now.
yeah,
I think she absolutely will make music. I just
yeah,
don't think she's in a
definitely.
rush.
And then Jade, I feel like kind of what you said, like definitely some TV appearances, because she's been doing that a lot more consistently now.
Mm.
And then I wouldn't be surprised if we heard music from her pretty soon.
Yeah, I
Like
think we'll
not
hear
pretty soon, but
music.
after.
Yeah, I think we'll hear music. I think we'll hear music from her first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then for Lee, I definitely agree with the acting. I think she really is liking that. And so I wouldn't be surprised. But like the question is, would it be movies or would it be like TV?
I feel like she would stick to movies for at least a little while.
Yeah, maybe until like life is settled a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um,
because a TV show is like a commitment.
yeah, yeah, it is.
A movie
Um,
is like you agree to film for like a month or two, and then you agree to do some promo, and then you're done. Like,
yeah, unless it's just like a one-time role. But even then, those can get picked up and reused.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know if I see her like doing a TV show as like some form of like reoccurring character or a main character. Um, anytime soon, really.
yeah. Um, it would be interesting to see like not a Christmas movie too, though. Um, like whether it was more like a comedy or like a horror movie or like different genres. Like I would wonder which one she would kind of hover around.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'll be interesting to see if she does go down that road. I have no idea if she actually is, but it'll be interesting. And then definitely music
Mm-hmm.
too, kind of like Perry. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think she'll put out music sooner than Perry. I just think that
Yeah, I agree.
I think she might be a tiny bit slower than Jade.
Yeah, right in the middle.
yeah, guys, so I think, you know, a lot of tangents later. Um that's kind of, you know, I guess just it for our kind of random ass thoughts on all of this. Um, like I said, we came in, we didn't really have too much of a plan, so I'm pretty sure this like was a mess to follow. So apologies for that, and anyone who did, like, hats off to you. You know, this is just part of life, and at least for us, like we've had a lot of time to kind of come to terms and process and accept that this is like, you know, how things were probably going to go, and but we didn't want to come on here and just, I don't know, chat with you guys and, well, not chat with you guys, but like just like talk a little bit about it and um maybe just provide a space for some of you guys to talk to each other in a like safe space. Yeah, so I don't know. So hopefully maybe you guys enjoyed hearing us just randomly shoot the shit talking about it. I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, I really feel like we covered like pretty much everything that we could.
Yeah.
If we missed something, let us know.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, we did everything and we did it off topic too. So
Yeah.
if we missed something, let us know, but we tried. Yeah, but so that is it for this episode, and we will see you guys next week.